This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
And welcome to Emergence News. My name is Nigel, and joining me in the studio today are John and Peter, and we talk about a range of subjects on this program. And on the last program we talked about the 5 steps to initiation, the 5 planetary initiations, and we referred to a couple of times to the ray structure of individuals. And today we're going to be talking about the 7 rays, which are a particular type of energy, the emphasis being on the quality which that energy demonstrates. So to say a person or a nation or a planet is on a particular ray is to say that they are coloured by or express the quality of that ray. Every human being is governed by one of these 7 rays. Peter's going to tell us about the virtues and the vices that give us individuality, certain attitudes of mind, and certain strengths and weaknesses, and our particular personality and colour. And bring you in first, John. The Greeks used to say, man, know thyself. And the esotericist says, man, know thy rays.
Roger, but we say honesty, sincerity and detachment. And I think honesty is the start of that self-delving, that once you're starting to be honest with yourself, you know, with scrubbing your thoughts, your actions and your responses all line up together, that is also, I think, the start of knowing yourself.
So today we hope you will therefore appreciate better why religions or certain religions flourish during certain periods of time and fall into decay at other times. You might also appreciate better why the success or failure of the meetings of certain leaders of nations either work or they don't. And perhaps you will gain a better understanding today of individual ray structures and insight into one's strengths and limitations, and they're all good reasons to understand the rays better. And so the captain for today's program is Peter. Welcome to the program, Peter.
Thank you, Nigel.
And your task today, sir, is to go through the 7 rays and give us some further insight into...
We'll do our best on that, Nigel.
How they work.
So basically, Peter's the forward pack and I'm out on the wing. And if I'm lucky, he might throw me the ball.
You might get the odd pass.
Is that what you're saying?
The odd opportunity. Back with Peter in just a moment.
I think I'm going for coffee.
Yeah, I was just going to say, have another sip.
Right. Ray 1. The virtues are strength and courage, steadfastness, and truthfulness from absolute fearlessness. And the vices are pride, ambition, arrogance, desire to control others, and anger, power for evil. The first ray demonstrates through government, has to do with purpose, will, and power. There are many examples of first ray working through second ray democracies. Winston Churchill is a good example. He had a second ray soul, but had 3 ray 1s, including his personality, mental and physical.
That's amazing.
Unusual to have a physical on the first ray.
Actually, Peter, he might have been unpleasant to be around.
Yeah.
You know, with that push, constant push.
I think he had some good whiskies and good brandies too.
And cigars, yeah.
Anyway, it's very powerful first ray. It is a very destructive ray unless it is working through a disciple who is already in control of themselves. The first ray comes into incarnation at the beginning or end of a cycle. It is the Shiva force, and the Shiva in the Hindu is the destroyer, isn't it? So it is part of the ray 1 is the destroying aspect. It's the only ray that is completely out of incarnation today. Since 1975, the first ray, or will to good, the highest aspect of the first ray, has been released directly into the world by the Christ. without going through the hierarchy. And since 1942, the energy of the avatar is synthesis through the Christ. This is also first-ray energy, but is a synthesis of will, love, intelligence, and another aspect for which we have no name.
That would explain so much chaos going on at the moment. Not only climate change, but chaos amongst humanity.
That's right, yes, and you can see this destructive force.
We're being torn down, to rebuild, right?
So the first-ray personality of Britain, which created the British Empire, and is the second-ray soul of Britain that created the British Commonwealth. So you can see the difference between the empire, which was
destructive,
wrought with the army and navy,
awash with blood,
and the British Commonwealth, which has got the love aspect involved.
Yeah.
Right. So that's first ray.
So once we've knocked you into shape that we like, we're going to hug you.
Yeah. The second ray of love wisdom. The virtues are calmness, strength, patience, and endurance. Love of truth, faithfulness, intuition, clear intelligence, serene temper, divine love, and wisdom and tact. But the vices are overabsorption in study, coldness, indifference of others, contempt of mental limitations of others, selfishness and suspicion. People with second-ray souls tend to be on the 246 line and more concerned with the inner life, the ability to persist, never giving up, a goal to be reached. It is not will-based, being introspective. The second ray can suffer from an inability to work unless they have some other of the uneven rays in their makeup, or the fanaticism of the sixth ray. The second ray scientists would intuit the answer, then try and prove it, like Einstein and his theory of relativity. He couldn't do arithmetic, but had the intuitive understanding about the relationship of energy and matter. He had three ray twos in his makeup. The Christ, of course, is the best example of ray 2. But it is also the ray of the Lord of the world, Sanat Kumara, and indeed the ray of our solar system. It is universal, it is magnetic, binding force which holds all particles together throughout cosmos. So it is the ray throughout cosmos that is preeminent.
Love.
Virtues to be acquired, love, compassion, unselfishness, and energy. That reference is from the Alice Bailey Esoteric Psychology, Volume 1. Ray 3, the ray of activity and adaptability. The virtues, a wide view on abstract questions, sincerity and clear intellect, capacity for concentration, patience, mental illumination. The vices are intellectual pride, coldness, isolation, inaccuracy in detail, selfishness, critical, impractical, unpunctual, idle. We don't want too much ray 3. The Master DK says the ray 3 type is like a spider in the centre of the web, spinning, plotting, intrigue, wanting to be the centre of events, because if he stops constructing on the form life, he lacks the ability to work inwards to deal with the point at which form is no longer real. That's an interesting phrase, isn't it?
Wow, there's a lot in that.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Yeah. The basic problem with the third ray type until the third initiation is that his focus is on the form rather than on the life within the form. The third initiation presents a major hurdle for the third ray. For the other rays, it is a second initiation, which is the real hurdle.
Have you got examples of third ray? Like what countries it would be?
Well,
China?
China is. There's. I've got it down here. The France, China, and Greece all have third-rate personalities. I think Switzerland's got a third-ray soul.
Mm.
Who's got a third-ray soul, sorry?
The Swiss.
Swiss.
Switzerland, yeah. Israel has third-ray soul and sixth-ray personality, which gives their stubborn dogmatism and separativeness the sense that they are always right. Virtues to be acquired: sympathy, tolerance, common sense. So the truth is not so important to a third-ray soul. The best ray for politicians in certain countries are third-ray personalities. They feel that to play the game by certain rules is just unintelligent. So why bother with the truth? Ray 4, harmony through conflict, or harmony, beauty, art and unity. You see, Benjamin Creme had 2 Ray 4s in his makeup.
Did he? Yes, he's an artist.
Yes.
Yeah. Strong, affectionate sympathy, physical courage, generosity, devotion, quickness of intellect, perception. The vices: self-centeredness, worrying, inaccuracy, lack of courage, strong passion, indolence, extravagance, and veiling of intuition. Ray 4 sits in the middle between the first 3 rays of aspect and the 3 rays of attribute. It blends the rays together, and Ray 7 grounds them. Ray 4 is used to blend the resonance of all the different rays to harmonise them. To the great actors, writers, poets, painters, sculptors have Ray 4 in their makeup. The great Mozart had 4 of these Ray 4s in his chart, and being a third-degree initiate, brought through fantastic creations by combing the heavens.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. We talk about Einstein in Ray 2, but he had Ray 4, mental body, and his soul was focused through the mental body. Being a second-degree initiate, his intuition was working well. The 4th ray is tied up with a creative process and is cyclic. In fact, the year of 2025, this year, in fact, is the start of a new cycle of strengthening Ray 4. So we can look forward to the future with more harmony in art forms and more harmony in world relationships, and not before time.
I wonder if Ray 4 somehow will offset to a degree the sort of cleavage, this polarisation that's going on, because there's a degree of harmony through conflict, and we are seeing tons of conflict at the moment. So if we have the polarisation and then a strengthening of Ray 4, maybe we'll see a softening of that polarisation.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Maybe, yes, it's a good thought, John. Yes, it's...
Well, I've had one coffee, Peter, so...
Yeah. The glamour of war must recede if we are to survive. The virtues to be acquired: serenity, confidence, self-control, mental and moral balance. Ray 5. The virtues: accuracy, justice without mercy, perseverance, common sense, uprightness, independence, keen intellect and truthfulness. The vices: harsh criticism, narrowness, arrogance, unforgiveness, lack of sympathy, prejudice, tendency to isolation. The 5th ray is now more active on our planet than at any time in its history.
And this is the science and detailed knowledge, isn't it?
Well, it brings in this, the mental, all the things that require the invention of, whether it's psychology, whether it's invention on the engineering, just all the technology and this sort of thing. It's... it's a background energy, you might say. That
would explain the infatuation with technology.
Yeah.
We have an infatuation with technology.
And yet it's not in individuals as 5th ray. There's very few. If you go through the list of initiates, there's 5, Ray 5 is almost non-existent. Tesla was the only one with a Ray 5 body that I've ever seen. That means he had a Ray 5 brain. So you can understand the huge technological discoveries. That he had more inventions than any other inventor on the planet.
He was way ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Oh, of course he was.
And of course...
a second-degree initiate.
Pulled apart for it. Absolutely.
He got vilified, didn't he?
Vilified, yeah.
So this energy has stimulated the scientific and technological fields, and it is also the rise of mind, like psychoanalysts, psychology, philosophy, is the energy which relates the divine idea to the human ideal, like democracy, fascism and communism. The Master DK says there is an automatic connection between the soul ray and personality, which will be a sub-ray of the soul ray. So the personality will be a sub-ray of the soul ray. The fifth and second are similar in being restrained, unlikely to talk to strangers. They don't know how to approach them. Whereas Ray 4 personality will simply start talking to others. I find myself doing this as well. Looking at the rays.
You got any Ray 4s?
Ray 4 personality. Without actually wanting to, you go. Someone's helping themselves to the veggies at the supermarket, and you end up talking about this, that, and the other quality of the veggies or whatever.
That explains Peter, doesn't it?
I've been arrested 3 times. I must be fourth rate as well.
It's sort of without much effort, I can tell you. It just sort of happens. So these are all things to stimulate our mental development. And virtues to be acquired, reverence, devotion, sympathy.
What ray's this?
Ray 5.
It's Ray 5,
Ray 5.
yeah.
Yeah, still on Ray 5, yep.
Ray 6, which we're basically moving out of, the ray of abstract idealism and devotion.
Now, most of us in this room will be Ray 6.
Oh,
Yeah, we've got a lot of Ray 6 in us, yeah.
We're awash with it.
Yeah.
We're on the way out, John.
Yeah. It's devotional, single-mindedness, love, tenderness, intuition, loyalty, reverence, inclusive idealism, sympathy. Vices are selfish and jealous love, overbearing, self-deception, fiery anger, violence, and fanaticism. Fanaticism, of course, is the number one problem we have today in our war-making spheres, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is the influence in the outgoing 6th ray and incoming 7th ray at this time? One example of this is the 6th ray of devotion to an ideal. Even if making money can be seen as a basis of our competitive society. So that's an interesting way of looking at it, isn't it? The 7th ray is pushing towards unity and organisation, creativity and gentleness. So in some respects, the 6th ray does not work easily with other rays. It has its own vision, even if it's impractical.
Idealism.
Yeah.
So 6th ray type is often alone, and the ideas are not going to come to fruition unless something like 7th ray wants to bring it about on the physical level. So the fanaticism that we see today eventually will become more subdued and die out as self-interest is replaced with brotherhood and unity in the coming age. There will be fewer 6th ray souls coming in, although the initiates will complete their path to masterhood. But new 6th ray souls will wait for a more appropriate time. The Master Jesus had 6th ray soul and made his extraordinary sacrifices as he became a saint. The high point of the 6th ray. Virtue, strength, self-sacrifice, purity, truth, serenity, balance. That describes Jesus. 7th ray, the ray of ceremony, order and magic. Virtues, strength, perseverance, courage, courtesy, self-reliance, creativity, thoughtfulness, organisation. The vices, formalism, bigotry, pride, narrowness, poor judgment, arrogance, overstressing of routine, superstition.
And this is the ray that's coming into Earth
This is right. Yeah.
right now, and has been for several hundred years.
The Aquarian age is ray 7. Yes, there's no question about that. The 7th ray is coming into manifestation now. The tendencies towards dictatorship and imposed control. The organising of systems are evident in society. Spain has a 7th ray personality with all the virtues and vices, with a formality, rather rigid mode of life, bigotry, intolerance of others with the 6th ray soul. So it's got a 6th ray soul in Spain and a 7th ray personality. So it's a difficult path.
You know what, I'm just thinking that I'm 246 line, I might find it difficult to live in Spain. Would that be the case? That if you are, say, past the first initiation and are starting to manifest the rays for good or ill, then being in the wrong country could possibly be a bit like a fingernail on the blackboard, that kind of...
So, John, if you were the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the New Zealand Minister of Foreign Affairs, and you were sent to Spain, you may not come back with a lot of success.
Yeah, exactly. Because, Peter, we are, New Zealand is a...
We don't really know, do we?
Well,
it doesn't get mentioned by Queen.
I surmise we're a Rei Tu Sol, because the other Commonwealth countries like Australia, Canada and America are Rei Tu Sols.
Because Britain
is Rei Tu Sol.
Yeah.
And we're offshoots, you might say, from that system. As to our personality, Ray, well, we're keen on sports. Sports could take up the whole news of the nation.
Does sometimes
without trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
So in that sense, we're a bit fanatical. But I suspect a Ray 3 may be involved, or certainly maybe a 7.
I suspect Ray 3 and Ray 7 because we are becoming much more evidence-based. As a nation.
Yes.
We're good at research. There's some world-class research done here.
Yeah.
So I think there's that third ray aspect to New Zealand. I work in a government agency and the real push is to be evidence-based.
Yes.
And we're constantly crunching numbers to find out.
Yeah, what's real and what's not.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that New Zealand, we are starting to try and push aside the mist of glamour in lots of ways. We are extremely good at science-based farming, for instance. The technology applied to the All Blacks is phenomenal. The science involved in the physical training of the All Blacks is phenomenal.
And we've had people in organisations such as NIWA and the Met Service where they've been on the cutting edge of climate change and the research that's been involved.
Yeah.
Just on Ray 7, Peter, you used the word ceremonial magic.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about we're moving into the Aquarian age, which is going to be an age, the golden civilization, we're told by a number of authors such as Alice Bailey and Benjamin Creme. So we're talking about the white magic, and the black magic was very strong back in the Atlantean times.
Yes, that's right. It's we've had over the years a lot of black magic, but also some of the more subtle things like absent healing and those sort of things. They're coming to the fore, but there's sort of still a bit of a dodgy. They're an emotional sort of aspect of what, in theory, should be a mental aspect. Yes.
Well, you need to be at least above the second ray to be authentic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be caught up in some glamour or astral. When we talked about attachment a couple of programs ago, that you can't be attached to the good stuff. And maybe that's the problem between that first and second initiation. You're still getting attached to the good stuff.
You're lifting yourself out of the astral and more towards the mental polarization, which is, the more individuals on this planet that can have the attention higher, the better off we're all going to be. And that's why many people, such as yourself, encourage people to take up meditation or a form of meditation because it's helping that mental polarization.
That's right.
Isn't it? Yeah. Keeping the attention high.
Keeping the attention high is probably a key idea for many people. If you do want to drag yourself out of your emotional mists, then practicing keeping your attention on the ajna center, that point where the nose meets the forehead between the eyebrows, that really helps manage emotional stuff. And breathing, breath work, meditation, service will help you overcome your emotional
and working
attachment
towards right relationships.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Peter. Well done, sir. Have you got a wee bit more there still?
Yeah, the seventh ray brought forward the discovery of the etheric energy by Willem Reich and the Kirlian photography as a science of the chakras. It relates spirit to matter. It is a relating ray, bringing the spirit of God onto the physical plane to give it form. So this is what it's about. It's actually seeing God manifest in everything that we do, isn't it? This is what the future of the Aquarian age is about.
Confirming the existence of the soul. That is ahead of us.
And understanding that the mud is part of divinity. Yeah, we move in a soup of divinity.
The idea is as a structured entity into the physical plane. So that's really bringing this rhythm, this idea of the seventh ray of unity, bringing it through as a part of our rhythm of life. Really, it's a way of looking at how it's going to develop into the future, because we've got another 2,000 years of the Aquarian age, and so a lot's going to happen in this time. So the 4 and the 7 work perfectly and produce the highest art through various advanced initiates. Australia has a second ray soul and a seventh ray personality, and will in future have an advanced mystery school. So the virtues to be acquired: unity, wide-mindedness, tolerance, humility, and love.
The 7 rays. Thank you so much, Peter. And for more information, visit the Plains FM radio station website or the Share International New Zealand website. We have programs that have covered the 7 rays or aspects of in the past. Both these websites provide podcasts of our previous programs, or you can visit Spotify, Apple Podcasts or YouTube for replays of previous recordings. The 7 rays, if you want to do a wee bit more study, you can check out Alice Bailey. She worked through the Master DK, and a couple of volumes were Esoteric Psychology. Couple of volumes?
Yeah, 2 volumes. And there's actually 5 volumes of books that he's talking about the rays.